Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Cassandra Terry, the mindset coach and founder of Manifesting Miracle Makers, rounded up her LinkedIn family once again. First, we've got Brian Smart, Mr. Content and Dadpreneur. He's striking the perfect balance between raising his youngest daughter and creating masterful content. Next, meet Denise Annalise Spiller, the gig expert and relentless traveler and writer. She turns every gig into an adventure. Then there's Jay Pasquale, the storytelling strategist, a poet and voiceover artist. He's weaving tales that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change your perspective. Get ready for a show filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the magic of family. Let's welcome Cassandra Terry and the rest of the fam.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. My favorite day, Thankful Thursday. It is that day where we get to stop and pause and think about what it is that we're grateful for and build up that gratitude muscle, because in building up that muscle, we change our perspective. We change our outlook. We have the opportunity to uplift ourselves in any moment at any time. When we find ourselves kind of down in the dumps, dragging a little bit, we can ask ourselves in that moment, what am I grateful for? Even in this season of my life where things are a little hazy, they're not going my way. What's the gift? What do I have to be grateful for? Who is in my life that I'm grateful for? What are the experiences that I would love to live again because they had such an impact on my life? And as you start to think about those things, watch the feelings arise that are associated with those things. You immediately start to feel lighter. You almost can't help but to smile. But you certainly change your perspective, and you've moved from thinking about lack to abundance. Instead of thinking about what you don't have, you're focused on what you do have and how that is positively impacting your world. We can't be sad and happy at the same time. You know, those they're mutually exclusive. You're one or the other. What's going on? And gratitude is that same sort of thing. When you're grateful, it is very, very difficult for those negative emotions to lead the way. Try it when you're upset with somebody. Somebody has really ticked you off, especially if it's somebody that you really care about. In that moment, try to find a way to think about that person and your relationship with that person. Why do they matter to you? What do you appreciate about them? In that moment, they may have slipped up. In that moment, they may have hurt your feelings or whatever the case may be. But in the grand scheme of things, why are you in relationship with them in the first place? Why do they matter? It doesn't excuse whatever it is that has you frustrated. Maybe a boundary has been crossed and that needs to be dealt with. But how you deal with it is very, very different when you have reminded yourself of the purpose of the relationship you have with that individual. I may be mad at you in the moment, but if you really mean something to me, if that relationship is valuable, I am going to deal with you in a different way. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let me let you know where my boundaries have been crossed, where my feelings have been hurt, what it is that I'm upset about. But I can have it conversationally instead of being in attack mode, because I don't want to win the battle and lose the war. And many, many times when we're acting out of our emotions and we haven't taken the time to temper them, we just lash out. And as many times as we apologize, we can't take back the words once they've left our mouth. We can't take back the effect that they have on those that we've aimed them at. They can go through their own healing process and forgive and forget, but we can't take it back. We can't undo it. So instead of living with those little nicks, those little painful moments, if we would just give ourselves a little space to think and to process before we speak, it allows us to respond instead of react. It allows us to get our emotions under control so that we can show up as the best version of ourselves, honor our boundaries, but still have a intelligent conversation with the person on the other end. Our emotions can sometimes overshadow our intelligence, overshadow our intent, overshadow the best version of who we are, because our emotions are hot. They are reactionary and they want things to get back to some sort of balance. They want vindication for being harmed. That, they have a specific purpose. They are warning signs. Our emotions signal us to the fact that something is going wrong. Some boundaries been crossed. Something's not happening the way that you would like. You're uncomfortable with something. So they are extremely valuable as indicators, as warning lights, but not they are not who you want in control when it's time for you to respond. So never ignore your emotions. Don't make them a bad thing. They serve a very powerful purpose. They are there to get your attention. Go, hey, something's not right here. But once they've done that, it's time. They've done their job. They have absolutely done their job. And now you need a little bit of space to deal with and think about whatever the situation is that they warned you of. And gratitude can help you do that thinking, recenter yourself, and actually deal with that situation as the best version of you. When we're coming from our emotions, whatever version of us shows up, because we are not happy. Things have not gone the way we want, and we're letting the world know about it, right? So, and that's okay, because we want to be honoring our boundaries and taking care of ourselves. Self-care is very important. But how cared for do you feel at the end of a argument with somebody when your emotions got out of control and you actually ended up managing that situation less than differently than you intended to? You said some things. When we know each other, when we know we know our when we know our friends and our family, you know their weaknesses, you know their soft spots, you know just where to tap to get underneath their skin. And so our emotions take us straight there. They want you to get back at whatever has harmed you. So it's our jobs as adults to temper those emotions, and gratitude is a great tool to do that. It's a great way to look at your life, to keep the focus on the things that you want versus the things that you don't want, so that you're consistently attracting the right things in your life. Gratitude is a place of gratefulness, abundance. I see all the great things that happened in my life. I am not ignoring those that were not so great, but I can look at them from the eyes of an adult now, and I can see the purpose that they had for me. I can see how even those difficult times helped me become the person that I am. So I don't see them with such angst as I did when I was going through them. I don't have so many bad emotions attached to them, and I'm not dragging all of that stuff with me into my present, right? I am moving forward lighthearted, light feet, because I'm taking the lessons from those difficulties with me, not the baggage that they created. I'm unpacking my bags, one bad situation, one negative emotion, one negative thought at a time. I'm getting them out of there. And in doing so, I'm making room for new things. I'm making room for new thoughts, for new skills, for a new way of existing that is going to better serve me in making the journey towards the life that I really desire. Gratitude will help you on that journey. Welcome, Sonia. I see you there. Conchita says another amazing day on this thankful Thursday. Everyone enjoy. Cynthia Brewer, welcome, welcome, welcome. Looking forward to seeing you again. So glad that you were able to join us. Let's see if I've missed anyone. I think we're good for now. Let me bring up our quote for the day, and we'll start our roundtable in just a moment to hear what everyone's thoughts are this morning on gratitude. Leslie, hey, sweetheart. It is great to see you watching. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gratitude isn't about what is handed to you, it's about what you do with what you have. And I may have used this quote before, but it's a powerful one. It's an important one. It is taking it almost feels like it's kind of stepping on your toes, but it is designed to grab your attention, right? It's not about what is handed to you, that next thing that's coming. It's about taking an inventory of what you have right now and assessing whether or not you're doing the best you can with that. Because when we master now, when we master management of our current situation, that discipline and what it takes to do that is going to serve you well as you continue to elevate and have more and more and more. It doesn't mean that you're not struggling. It doesn't mean that you may not be in a position where you can save right now. Maybe you're not in a position where you can travel to the places you want to play. There's a lot of different things that you'd like to do. That's okay. Those are the goals that you're working towards. But how are you managing your right now so that you position yourself to start really moving towards those goals, right? It's one thing to say you want something. It's another thing to actually take action that's going to get you on the path and moving towards it. How are you managing what you have right now? What you have right now is what you are to be grateful for, right? That's the things that you have in hand. They may not be at the caliber that you want. Maybe the house is a single story and you want a two-story. Maybe you're renting an apartment and you haven't gotten a house. Maybe the car is a little old, but it's still getting you to work, right? Maybe the people on the job are driving you crazy, but you have that paycheck so you can manage your life. So it depends on what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on the situation and the issues and the frustration that comes? Or are you allowing yourself to see that even as things are evolving and you're trying to get to where you want to go, there's still plenty to be grateful for? Even if it's just the fact that you're able to speak, that you're able to inhale and exhale, that you woke up this morning, that you were in a safe place, that you have a job to go to, that you have a network of family and friends that care about you, right? There's a lot to be grateful for. And when you start to ruminate, to really think about those things, it changes your perspective and it starts to raise that level of joy. Joy is something we can have 24/7, 365. You may not be happy all the time because there are things that will happen that will rob that happiness. And sometimes we're sad. We're going through something difficult. We're not happy. But even in those difficult seasons, we can have joy. Joy is a state of mind. Joy is, I can see the good in wherever I am. I know this situation may be hard, but I'm convinced that it's going to be better in the future. I'm convinced that I'm going to get something out of this. And then your joy doesn't have to go away. Even in the saddest of times, even in the most difficult times, if you lean into gratitude, if you clean your lens and choose to look at the abundance in your life, doesn't mean you're pretending. Don't pretend. I've had losses. I've had struggles, had some roughness in my history, may have some in my future. I'm not calling for it, but life's, right? But to be joyful is a decision. To be happy or sad and all of those emotions are reactionary. Those are reactions to what's happening to us in real time. And they're appropriate, right? You honor them. I don't feel good. I'm sad because X is happening. It's okay. That's a normal human emotion. But within that, you can choose not to lose your joy by continuing to be positive and to realize that eventually this too shall pass. You will get through this storm. You will be stronger on the other side. Gratitude will do that for you. It'll remind you. It makes you look back, but it makes you look back in a different way. I'm not just remembering these bad times, but I'm actually looking for the lesson, the gift, the strength that I received, the resilience that I know I have. I learned some things about myself that I didn't know that was in me. As I was figuring how to get myself up out of that dark place, I realized I was stronger than I thought. I realized I could do things that I didn't know that I could do. That's something to celebrate. That's something to be excited about. And it's those dark, difficult times, those dark times that we figure those things out. So they're not for nothing. They're not just the world dumping on you, you having a string of bad luck. When you use those words, When you think about your life that way, you're just attracting more of that to you. It's the only thing you're going to see. When Brian and I first started to talk, one of the analogies I used way back then was about being excited about going to buy this new car. You saved for it, you've researched it, you know there's not many of them on the road, so you're going to get this shiny red new sports car, and it's going to be, just you. Everybody's going to know when you turn the corner because you don't see that car every day until you buy it. As soon as you buy that car, it feels like they're everywhere. You see it at the grocery store, you see it on the highway, you see it everywhere. Are there more cars on the road? Because no, your focus is changed. You notice it because it's what you're driving. You notice it because now you have it. And so when it goes by, your mind is more acute and it keys in on it. That's what gratitude will do for you. It will attune your mind to the goodness that has happened in your life. And it'll refocus you to those things so that you can maintain your joy, so that you can be resilient, so that you can continue to move forward, even in the midst of difficult times. Gratitude is a game changer. And I encourage you to try it. Prove me wrong. Start your day with 3 things you're grateful for. As you're going to sleep, think about 3 things that happened to you that you're grateful for that day, or 3 things in general that you're grateful for. I call it my gratitude sandwich, beginning my day and ending my day with a mindset of gratitude. I wake up more refreshed. I rarely have bad dreams now, even if I sleep on my back. Sleeping on my back used to be a guaranteed nightmare. I don't know what it was. I would always have bad dreams if I slept on my back. It is a rare that I have a bad dream. But when I'm going to sleep, I am thinking about what I'm grateful for. I'm thinking about the time that I'm going to spend with you guys the next day. So what's on my mind when I first wake up? I'm peaceful. A lot of times I'm getting those divine downloads and I'm thinking about the things that are coming, the events that I need to participate in and things that I want to share. They come to me often as I'm waking up or as I'm falling asleep. And because that's a peaceful time for me, it's couched in gratitude. My creative juices are just flowing, and I'm open to receive that creativity and those thoughts and those divine downloads. That's precious time. It feels like, because it's subconscious time, that it's out of your control, but you can certainly temper how you're going to experience that time. Gratitude will help you. It puts you in a mindset of the goodness in your life. You can't think about goodness and not raise your level of peacefulness, your level of joy. And when you do that before you go to sleep, you sleep better, you sleep deeper. So I encourage you to try it. Gratitude isn't about what is handed to you, it's about what you do with what you have. That was said by Asha Tyson. She is an author and a public speaker, and she was raised in a very difficult situation. When you read her biography, it says she was raised in an abusive, loveless environment, and so much so that she ran away and she was homeless by the time that she was 17. And she got into some sort of a business and struck it big and was able to retire at the age of 26 years old. And so, somebody who has a huge reason to be grateful, she could have continued to focus on the pain of her upbringing. She could focus on how difficult her life was, and that could keep her depressed. It would be honest, it would be real. The fact that she has struck it rich and is retired at the age of 26 and touring the country, doing speaking engagements and all of that, she was prepared for that by the resilience that she used to get out of the difficult situation that she was in. But she didn't just physically get out of it. A lot of times when our circumstances change physically, mentally, we're still in that trauma. We bring it with us. So we're still operating as if those bad things are happening. We're still operating with those same protective mechanism. I've built up a wall. I'm not going to let anybody in. This is my safe space. Well, if you don't let anybody in, not only are you keeping the bad people out, but you're also keeping out those that would love you and those that would support you. So you have to be a little bit more discerning. You have to go inside and look at how you're coping with life. What things have you drugged with you that you need to unpack, never to pick up again? Those types of assessments help you. They help you to get to know yourself better. They help you to find those tender spots that need some love and care and healing, and to go through that process so that you end up better on the other side. I don't want to be re traumatized over and over again. Any bad thing that I've experienced, the only thing I want from that is the lesson. The shame isn't there, the blame isn't there. It's about taking those experiences, sharing them with other people so that they might be able to see that there is life on the other side. I may not be Asha and able to retire at 26. Actually, on Saturday, I'll be 56. So I'm not Asha in that way, but going from these rags to riches stories, finding a way out of poverty and into a comfortable life and able to do things that you would never have thought about when you were growing up. That's my story. I absolutely can't still sometimes I pinch myself. Little things happen, and I don't know about y'all, but it's all by myself. Sometimes I have to have those hallelujah moments and just stand and be grateful and give God glory for what He's done in my life in only 56 years. When you look at it from, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to be that old. I'm getting so close to 60. I have those thoughts, but I remember little Cassandra. I remember the environment that we grew up in. There was lots of love, but there was also a lot of lack. You know, there wasn't enough food all the time. There definitely wasn't enough money. A lot of activities that I was involved in, I would be the only person of color. So that alone made me feel a little funny. Do I really fit in? And then I was the one who didn't have money. So there was always this lack, this not having enough. And I felt that as a little person, and it created a lot of shame. I was embarrassed. And I didn't want to be everybody's or anybody's charity case. But there were so many things that were outside of my control. But they created a spark in me that eventually became a fire. I saw education as my way out. I saw education as my way up. I saw it as an opportunity for me to have a different life. And when I had my own family, for my little people to have a different experience than mine. And so I went to college. Didn't know what the heck that really meant. Didn't know what I was going to do, but it was divinely guided. When I was, I don't know, I think, when did we graduate from junior high into high school? That eighth grade year, I still remember going to my counselor's office, and I sat down with Miss Hendricks and I told her I wanted to go to the University of Texas at Austin. And I said, I need to know what classes I need to take in high school so that I can get into the University of Texas at Austin. I was so singly focused. As many universities as there are in the world, as many as there were right around me, close enough to my family that I could still stay home and things like that. That just wasn't the message that was dropped in me. That wasn't the pull that I was experiencing. It was very clear. I wanted to go to the University of Texas at Austin. And what do I need to do? Even back then, I was figuring out where I was. I was figuring out where I wanted to go. And I was figuring out what was the path to bridge the gap between those two. I did that in the eighth grade. It's funny now when I think about it. I was like, God, you must have really been driving that ship and just steering me, because I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't really know what to do. But when I look back on it and I see the divine hand of God, even as a little person, steering me, driving me, helping me make decisions and figure things out so that I could be here today. It's a little overwhelming when I think about it. But that little eighth grader, that's what she did from Farmersville, Texas. Hadn't The only time I had gone to colleges was through my school. I participated in events, right? I played in the band, so we would go to a school, to a college for our UIL events. I did a lot of academic events and things, spelling bees and things when I was younger, and we would have those events at a local community college. And I was a cheerleader, and we would have our cheerleading camps. at one of the bigger colleges in the Dallas area. So I had a little bit of exposure, but no one in my family, no one that I was around. I had one cousin, Tammy, who went off to college after she graduated, and she was at a college that wasn't too far away from home, and she was playing in the band and doing all those things. So I saw her, and so I was like, okay, this can be done, because it's just different. If you're not a part of the minority, it may be hard for you to understand that if you don't see people doing the things that you want to do, it's not the same to see you do it. As a person of color, when my white friends going off to college was not the same as me being able to go off to college. It's a mental thing, it's a representation thing. That's why we see media changing and being more inclusive, because psychology has shown over and over and over again that if you don't see yourself, people like you in places, you don't believe that you belong in those places. And there's so many people who don't get that, and they don't like when those conversations come up. They get angry. Oh, slavery was over hundreds of years ago. Why are y'all still talking about that stuff? It's true, it was to an extent, but the stench of it still lives on today. And if you're lucky enough not to be the one to experience it, just allow those who do to be and to share their experiences and learn from them. Don't try to temper their experience. Don't try to make them be quiet and make them see the world the way you see it. They've had a different experience. And when we learn to be quiet and observe and actually listen to someone who's had a different experience from us, we both learn. I learned that you care about me and my journey. You learn a little bit more about what that journey is. That reciprocity deepens relationship, and we both end up better than when we started the conversation. Melinda, hello, 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 welcome. So I am a real proponent of being around people that are different from me and learning from those environments. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful when I have that opportunity, because I walk away more informed, having an opportunity to do a little bit more and see the world a little bit differently than I did before. There is real learning in that. I feel sorry for people who spend all of their time just around people who are just like them. You're so limited in what you can learn and what you can accomplish if everybody's doing it the exact same way. That's all the outcome's always going to be the same. As soon as someone comes in with a different idea, it may be uncomfortable for the group, but be quiet and listen. Let them process. See what things it sparks for you. You'll end up grateful for it, because now all of a sudden there's opportunities for different results. There's so much gratitude that I have in diverse environments, but I certainly have gratitude when I see people excelling at things that I'm interested in doing, and they look like me. They say to me, oh, I could do that too. I know that as an adult, but as a little person, they don't know that. Seeing and that's a part of the joy when I talk about gratitude and how God has developed and directed my life. Earlier this week, I had a chance to sit down with a bunch of HBCU students. HBCU is historically Black colleges and universities. There was a time where we couldn't go to school with everybody else, so we built our own, and those historical universities still stand today. And when you and those students were a part of a program that I had a chance to speak to at IBM, and it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, that connection. I wanted to talk to them about the things that I talk to you guys about every day, because I'm so passionate about those things, right? Making sure that they see their value, making sure that they're working on their mindset and the inner them, because that time in life is so pressure filled. You're trying to figure out who you are, who you want to be, where you want to work, what things are you going to get involved in. It's a very stressful time in life, right? So I was looking to impact them this way. But right before it was time for me to speak, the lady who was doing the event, she was like, they need to see you. They need to see that someone that looks like them has the position that you have at IBM. They need to see that someone that looks like you is excelling in technology, in cybersecurity, in compliance. And I wasn't, because I'm me and I do what I do every day, I wasn't even thinking that way. But she completely, 15 minutes before I started, helped me rethink the conversation that I was going to have with them, because that gave them the opportunity to see themselves in a place, to see themselves excelling in a place where they may not have realized that they could. It's so valuable. I was so grateful for that experience. I was so grateful that she had that conversation with me and helped me to get that point of view. And the students and the faculty and staff from those universities poured so much gratitude. They followed me on socials and left me nice messages and things like that. So she was right. It was what was needed. It was what I needed when I was growing up. It was amazing. I knew I was going to be some sort of a talking head in some way. I didn't know exactly who I'd be talking to or what I would be talking about, and that story is still being written. But I remember there was a Black news anchor. Her name was Iola Johnson in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I just thought she was the most beautiful thing that God ever created. And she was sitting there in all of her glory, telling the world, or at least our section of the world, what was happening in the world. And I wanted to be just like her. And my dad even used to call me her. And I was always talking, as you can imagine. And that's what he would call me. Little Aula, little Aula, planting that you can in me way back then. I'm grateful for those memories. I may not have become a news anchor. That's what I thought I was going to be, because I had so much interest in her and what she was doing. I was so pulled to that. But look at me today. That's this version of what she was doing back then. We have so many opportunities to bring our message forward now, but you have to be able to look back over your life and see those defining moments, see those even difficult moments and what you've gotten from them, and bring that blessing forward. Bring the blessing forward and allow that blessing to keep expanding your gratitude and shifting your perspective so that you're having a more joyful, more fulfilled life, despite what might be going on externally, despite the things that may be out of your control. All right, I see quite a few messages have come through. We're going to take a look at those, and then I am going to pitch it over to Brian to see what he has to share this morning. Leslie says, "Hey, Aunt Cassandra. Hey, sweetheart. I'm so excited to see that you are here. Let's see. Belinda says, good morning. Kim says, thankful. Kim, I am thankful for you. Y'all, I've been running my challenge this week for the last 4 days. And I have had the opportunity to get to know, to see the faces, to hear the voices of Kim and Conchita and several other people. And it's just a thrill to take that transition from social media and seeing your comments, and to actually, although it virtual, be in a room and able to interact with folks on that level. It has been a wonderful 4 days. Today is the fourth day, so we actually wrap up this evening. Let's see. Conchita says, when we rise early and open our hearts with gratitude, our Creator always greets us with His presence. What a beautiful picture. What a beautiful picture that can paint for you if you allow it to. When we rise early and open our hearts with gratitude, our Creator always greets us with His presence. I love that, Conchita. Conchita says, Cassandra 60 is sensational. The wisdom finally kicks in overdrive. I'm on my way, Conchita. I'm headed there with the quickness. Kim said, that's why your speech for the college group was powerful. What? You're the best pivot queen. I did have to pivot because I had something else different, something else planned, but it worked out for the greater good. Aromatic Vision, good morning, mother. Says good morning, fam. All right, I think I have hit all the comments that have come in. If you guys are out there, I'm streaming on all the different socials, but if you don't leave a comment or able to see you. So let me know that you are there. I would love to hear from each of you and be able to greet you and thank you for your presence. And in the meantime, not Jay, Brian, I would love to hear what you'd like to share on gratitude today. Are you there, Brian?
Grand Rising.
Grand
I'm in
Rising.
traffic. So big up, you know. I every time we start talking about gratitude, I get excited. I wake up with gratitude in my mind. Thank you for waking me up another day. Thank you for keeping me in my right mind. I can't tell you how impactful gratitude, just being grateful for where I am, is literally changed everything around me. It doesn't just change you; it changes everything around you. We are akin to magnets, so we attract that level of energy that we put out into the world, right? Think of it like this. Think of it like uh, the Creator, God, is divine, and we are the fruit, right? The fruit doesn't worry about getting created because it abides in the vine. Fruit just get created, right? There's no need to worry about, oh, let me ask you for this, or oh, let me do this, or let me hurry and make sure I make this work for me. If you believe that what is happening to you is the result of only your actions, then that's why you're not being grateful, right? Because you got this whole thing misconstrued, backwards, upside down, flipped on its head, wrong. You should be thanking God every single day and watch what happens when you do that. I'll give you a real good example. Yesterday, I was, and this is a minuscule example, but I was doing some yard work, and I went to charge the battery up in the tractor, and when I went to crank it after I charged it, I realized that I didn't have a key. And I was thinking to myself, why did I pull the key out of there? That's just not like me. I hate pulling keys out of things like that because I can never find them again. So I'm trying to figure out why I pulled that key out. And then I remembered last year we had some we had a lot of robberies, not in our neighborhood, but the area of town. So I was like, just in case, since I'm not here all the time, let me take the keys out of all of the stuff that sits outside. Well, when I went back inside yesterday to try and find, I'm going through all of the usual spots I would put the keys. And I got to the last spot where I figured it would be, and I'm like, not in there. Well, no big deal. What's going to happen is it's going to come to me. God's going to show me where it's at. And I've really said this now. God's going to show me where it's at when He wants me to find it. As soon as I put the little bowl back up into one of our junk drawers, it hit me. Hey, look on this top shelf right here on the edge, and you'll find key. That's how you got to see life. That's how you got to see your goals, your accomplishments, your objectives. The exact same way. Yeah, it works with a key, but that key is significant in the sense that that key is the key to your life. The key to your life is trusting in God. I'm gonna stop preaching. I got a meeting. I don't want to get too crunk up and then go crazy in the meeting. Thanks, Cassandra.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Yes, we are the fruit and we need to stay connected to the vine. As long as we are connected to the vine, we are getting the nourishment that we need, and we don't have to worry about where our blessings are going to come from. Aromatic visions, LOL. You should be thanking God every day. Preach, Brian. Awesome. All right. So, next up, Jay, I would love to hear from you and what you would like to share on gratitude.
Whew, I got a lot to say.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
And it's basically I'm like Chat GPT at the moment because your prompting basically got me to this point. Um, so let's start with let's start with the Bible verse. Let's look at that,
Okay.
and it's going to be Luke chapter 1 verses 24 through 25. And so The verse starts out with, after this, his wife, Elizabeth, became pregnant and for 5 months remained in seclusion. The Lord has done this for me, she said. In these days, he has shown his favor and taken away my disgrace among the people. So, what is that all about? Elizabeth is acknowledging that her pregnancy is not merely a natural occurrence, direct result of God's intervention in her life, and she's thanking him for it.
Mm-hmm.
And really, she sees this as his hand at work in the midst of her circumstances. And you were talking about her circumstances earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She was really reflecting on a deep sense of gratitude and praise towards God for his intervention. Her story is really powerful because it shows how gratitude can arise and come up from recognizing God's blessings and provision. And do you know who Elizabeth is, right? Do you know who she is, her significance? She is the mother of John the Baptist. And she is in the Gospel of Luke, where her story really is intertwined with Mary,
Mary. Mm-hmm.
the mother of Jesus. And
Yep.
so those two things together, right? Just from that verse alone, we don't see the testament of that verse and that time in Elizabeth's life. But if we read further, if we go deeper into the Bible and we see where she comes out at when she interacts with Mary, she's a really big figure because she is the mother of John the Baptist. And we know John's story.
Right.
And so there it is. If we just stay in faith, we're going to see that we can move forward through the adversity and realize the blessings. And so that's the spiritual side. You talked about psychology earlier. I'm gonna go deep real quick.
All
So
right.
science is showing the story you tell yourself can impact you physically
Yes.
and mentally. So I'm gonna use a word that we don't normally use in, in everyday conversation.
All right.
Epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
Epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
Epigenetics is basically how some external force can influence literally the genes in your body. And it's been proven. Imagine this story of someone who has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer,
Mm-hmm.
goes home, prays every day until her next doctor's appointment,
Mm-hmm.
goes to church, prays fervently, meditates on the situation, thanks God for everything, including this event of being told she's got cancer. And when she goes to the doctor the next time, they do a scan and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the power that we have in faith. Science is proving that if we have that faith, it can change us. So the story, and because I'm about storytelling, the stories we tell ourselves can really impact us in ways we can't even imagine right at this moment, even supernaturally.
Mhm.
When you were talking about going to college,
Mhm.
I took the other route.
Mhm.
And I remember in middle school, I told a really good friend of mine, I told her in jokingly that I knew I was going to be on TV.
Mhm.
I knew I was going to be on TV. And after I graduated from high school, I was a cub reporter on a cable news station.
Mhm.
And it was because I told myself that story that I was going to be on TV. I didn't say I was going to be a reporter. I just thought maybe I would be an actor, but I still ended up on TV.
Mhm.
But and you were saying about I did,
Hour. Mhm.
yeah, and not looking like the rest of the people
Oh
in the room.
yeah.
I didn't look like the rest of the people in the newsroom. I didn't. And so I felt out of place and I had that limiting belief. I maybe do I really belong here? I don't have a college education. Um, I really didn't study mass communications or news industry. Um, I didn't take news industry courses or anything like that. But at towards the end of my career, a couple of my stories ended up on CNN,
Mhm.
and another story, a really big one, ended up on the Associated Press on newspapers around the globe, and it was because of a, a plane crash.
Mhm.
The other thing, and so that's the positive side. Let me tell you about kind of the negative side of things. When we when people talk about wealth, there's usually some sort of block in your mind about wealth and about abundance and about growing your finances. And a lot of people, mindset coaches, ask people to revert back to the time that maybe there was a point in your life that triggered your thoughts on money and wealth and growing your finances. And I go back to my uncle Andy. I lived with
Mhm.
him for 3 years, and I his his way of rearing his children, and I was in that household, was to make sure that they had their basic needs met.
Mhm.
And he said to me, because I used to complain a lot, why can't I have frosted flakes instead of cornflakes with sugar I had to sprinkle on it, right? Or why do I got to eat raisin bread? And I was like, this is this is not gonna work. And he said to me one day, he sat me down and he said, as long as you have food on the table, clothes on your back, and a roof over your head, why should you ask for anything more than that? And that really
Mhm.
started my thoughts on wealth and finances and why do I have everything's got to be just living in humbleness. You can still be humble, you don't need to be you don't need to be poor. You don't. Um and those are limiting beliefs, and this is what I'm talking about when you're talking about the story that you tell yourself and
Mhm.
how it can be that block, that limiting belief that stops you from moving forward. But as believers, if you look to the Bible and look at specifically Elizabeth as the
Mhm.
example of gratitude, see what happened with her. Her test became her testimony,
Right.
and a testament to God's will and glory. So I
That's
just
right.
want to bring that conversation to you, Cassandra, back to you.
When you were talking about the power of our thoughts and how they can affect us in so many ways, I was remembering I had gone to the doctor with my girlfriend many years ago. She was having a baby, and we were going in for her checkup, and she was done, and we were getting ready to check out. And as she was checking out, I was just kind of hanging out at the counter while she was doing her thing. And behind the counter were examination rooms. And I saw a doctor or a nurse with a really grim look on their face walk into a room. And after they went into the room, I could hear a woman crying. That was it as far as the actual inputs went. But what happened in my mind, I created this story so quickly of this lady. Now, I didn't see her in the room. I don't know if she was by herself or not, but in my mind, I saw a doctor or a nurse going in and telling a lady that she had lost her pregnancy or something. And she was absolutely by herself. And she was in there by herself having this meltdown alone. And all of these feelings started to well up in me. And the next thing I remember is hearing my name, and it sounded like it was somebody speaking through a vacuum. It seemed like it was so far away. I had gotten myself so emotionally worked up in that moment. And I still to this day have no idea what actually happened. But I quickly created that scenario in my head, and my emotions quickly followed. And then physically, I fainted. I lost consciousness. And my friend I could hear her calling my name, but it sounded like she was so, so far away. And eventually, I regained consciousness, and she was there, and a doctor or a nurse came out and brought me juice, and they were checking on me to make sure I was okay. They wanted to check my blood pressure and do all the things to see, if something was going on with me. Could you be pregnant, ma'am? Are you okay? What's going on? And I was fine. But I had created a story in my head, and I felt such empathy for this person that I never even saw. I just heard the crying. I don't know what she was told. I have no idea what actually happened. But in an instant, I created a scenario in my head that swept me away and off my feet and out of consciousness. Our minds are powerful. The stories that we tell ourselves are powerful. If in a moment I can tell a story based on very little fact, the only fact I know is one person walked into a room and I heard someone crying. Don't know if they were tears of joy. Don't know if I don't know what was really going on. But what I saw didn't look good. It gave me indication that something bad was happening. And that story I told myself was overwhelming. The shirt I'm wearing right now says "Speak Life." Speak life. And the reason that's important, and the reason that I'm wearing this, it has Proverbs, it has the verse on it and everything. That's what I'm wearing to work today, because I am who I am everywhere I go. And reminding people of the power of their words and the power of their mind is just a part of where I am in life right now. I think it's just that important. The words that you speak and the thoughts that you allow, your thoughts are going to be what they are. We have 10,000 or more. No, I think closer to 30 to 50,000 thoughts a day. Our minds are just churning, 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 churning. But which thoughts do you grab hold of and give focus to? That determines how you're experiencing that moment, how you're experiencing your life. It can be that impactful. Your thoughts can take you away. Your thoughts can help you be healthier. Your thoughts can help you be unhealthy. Your thoughts can help you be joyful. Your thoughts can help you be sad. Your thoughts can help you mentally be sound. Your thoughts can help you start to lose your mental fortitude. Our thoughts, which become our words, which become our actions, which create our life, that thread is not broken. It all works together. So if you don't back all the way up, to how you're thinking and what you're focusing your thinking on, you're losing control of those thoughts, the actions, and the life that you're creating. It goes all the way back to your thoughts. That's why gratitude is so absolutely important. And it's important for you to build a gratitude practice. Practice, practice, practice. Anything that you want to get better at, you have to repeat. So it's not enough for me to have a gratitude conversation with myself every once in a while. It's every morning and every night, almost without fail. I'm sure some nights I fall asleep so quickly I don't have a chance to do it, but it's a part of my routine. And being grateful and having a heart that's focused on gratitude is something that anybody can develop. And I've got a few ways that can help you in doing that. Starting with, you can keep a gratitude journal. When we write things down, they seem to permeate and get deeper in us. We remember them. So taking the time, designated time once a week, whatever it is, to actually write down things that you're grateful for. It starts to shift your perspective. And without you even realizing it, you're looking for those things. And it certainly makes you focus on those things in that moment. It's important that we express gratitude to others. It's one thing to say thank you. It's appropriate to say thank you when someone says something to you or does something for you. But gratitude and expressing the impact that someone has on your life and expressing how important that they are to you, hearing it in your own voice, say it to another person, that's relationship building. It deepens that relationship. It makes that person feel good. It also makes you feel good and helps you to realize just how important they are to you. Express gratitude whenever you have the opportunity. Yes, we're going to say thank you, but when you can have that opportunity to really express your gratitude to someone and let them know their importance and their impact on your life, you are positively impacting you both. Mindful reflection. Maybe you don't want to write it down, but you just want to think about it. Taking some time throughout your day or designating a time every day or every week, you choose your frequency where you're going to just stop and think about the things that you have in your life to be grateful for. You'll be surprised what comes up because as you mature that part of your existence, you're going to learn that everything is something that you can be grateful for because it all gave you something. It all helped you get to where you are today. And volunteer, give back in some sort of a way. There is nothing like extending yourself to others. There's nothing like reaching out and giving a hand up to someone who's struggling. Not only are you helping them, but you're readjusting your thoughts away from you, right? And focusing on someone else and what they need. And it'll also remind you of just how good you have it. Volunteering and giving back. I've heard people when they were in their most difficult times use those times to volunteer. I can't find a job right now. I'm struggling. I'm doing all the things. I'm sending out the resumes. I'm going on the interviews, but I've got this time on my hand because nothing has come. They go volunteer somewhere. They figure out a way to give back. It makes you feel good. It's helping your environment. It's helping those around you. And it's reminding you of even in this difficult time, you're blessed. So those are just a few ways that you can be intentional about developing a gratitude practice, and you can take it and expand it and use as many of these tools as you'd like. But at the end of the day, the importance is that you are leading with gratitude. You're putting out the abundance, you're putting out what you're grateful for. And in doing so, you're going to continue to draw more things to you that you can be grateful for. Let's see. My mom said, thank you for icing the cake, Jay. All right. I think we have done what we came to do today. We are at the end of the Thursday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Prayerfully, you all have been blessed. You have heard something. Nia, I see you out there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You have heard something that is going to positively impact your life and help you focus on what you have more than what you don't. In doing so, your gratitude will grow, and so will your joy. And that is what it's all about, living a life of joy and abundance. So we will see you back here tomorrow for
Thank you
the
for joining
Friday
us today.
edition.
Make sure you join us every week, Tuesday
The
through
Cassandra
Friday,
Terry Morning
at
Show.
7:15 a.m. Central Time for the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. For advertising or sponsorship questions, reach out to Cassandra or any member of the FAM Collective on their LinkedIn profiles.